Has the role of women in crystallography changed over the years during your career?
That's a really good question. It was already extremely strong, and that is because of the Braggs. So father and son Bragg, Henry and Lawrence, they both actually had the same first name. You should never do that, to give your children the same name as you. It's very confusing. But I've got a family tree of their graduate students, and I think there was something like 30 women and 2 men. And we're talking about early 1900s here. So I mean, they just were fantastic. They were color blind to that. So we have the celebration in 2 weeks' time of the first woman being made a fellow of the Royal Society. First 2 women, and one of them was a very famous crystallographer called Kathleen Lonsdale. We have Dorothy Hodgkin, we have Rosalind Franklin, we have Eleanor Dodson, we have the most amazing Helen McGow array of British crystallographers, all because of the Braggs using, being open to female. We had Louise Johnson, my own boss, who inspired me, who asked me to become a protein crystallographer. So I think that the lab that Louise joined was totally different from my scenario with nuclear physics, where I was the first female graduate student in nuclear structure physics for 15 years. The group I joined didn't want me because they thought I was too weak to pull the helium dewars back to the Clarendon lab from the nuclear physics lab, and I wasn't very welcome, put it mildly. I had to fight my corner all the time, and if I made a mistake, it wasn't because I was a first year graduate student learning, it was because women shouldn't really be there. And so I did fight my corner, and I made my way. But I nearly left in the first 2 weeks in Oxford because of the challenges of joining that lab under those circumstances. It was really tough. I joined molecular biophysics when I was 34, and it was half women. It was absolutely fantastic. And I've never, only on the most technical committees where I've looked around and realised I'm the only woman, I've thought, am I here because they had to have a woman, because they have to tick a box, or am I here because they need me? This is only once that this hasn't been so on a technical panel. I was on an EU project called Radiate, where I was asked to assess beam time applications for ion beams, so like the Surrey Ion Beam Centre, and it was a European cooperative where there were about 7 different labs that would provide country access, so you could apply, but it had to be in a different country that you were in. We had a meeting at Karlsruhe Airport, and I walked in, and there were 7 women and 1 man, and this was the first time this had ever happened on a technical committee to me, and I was absolutely delighted, and I was completely happy about this. So I said to the 1 man who was the coordinator of it, this is fantastic that you've got all these women. I mean, this was the 7 women in Europe who know about ion beams. There probably weren't very many more. So I found it a very, very welcoming field, and I guess I was a bit older, so I wasn't nervous. And from what I told you before, which was I decided I just had to ask questions if I didn't understand, however stupid they seemed to be. I just said, I don't care, I'm going to just ask. Then, I've had a great time. And one of the wonderful things about the field has been watching the graduate students flowering and finding their feet, and just giving them a little bit of help along the way when necessary.
What would you advise to the current students that they are interested in structural biology?
Oh, wow. I would advise them to try and learn as many different techniques, complementary techniques as possible. I never did any molecular biology, but these days, instead of just solving structures, if you're a student, you really need to do all of the stages. So express your protein, purify it, and then solve the structure. And instead of doing half of one for a PhD, you need to do quite a few. I mean, it's changed completely. So I would advise them to try and learn electron microscopy as well as crystallography, because I feel they're complementary rather than competing. Also I advise them, if you're not enjoying it, find something else to do. Don't do it for the sake of it. But if you're enjoying it, then go with it. Yeah.